Hi, everyone. I think I'm live. I think folks can hear me. Maybe. Hello, Internet. Happy birthday. My name is Kara Lexi. I am a writer who lives and works in the Caribbean in Trinidad and Tobago. And this channel slash Facebook update thing that I do once a week, every week at 4 p.m. Trini time, which is Atlantic Standard Time, 1 hour ahead of EST, is my accountability channel. This was started about 10 weeks ago, 11 weeks ago, because I missed a week. And the purpose is to hold me accountable for the work I need to do in writing my manuscript. And that's it. This is my journey. This is my ups and downs. This is what I've done, what I haven't done to work on and finish my manuscript right now entitled Project Obia. So today, for those watching currently and in the future, I'll be talking about routines today. Mostly because my routine for the last 2 to 3 weeks has broken down pretty badly. I normally I have, I think, it's not the best routine in the world, but I had a pretty good routine that helped me to work on my writing. And it took a few weeks to develop. It lasted for a few weeks and it was really good. I know you can't see my board, the top of the board from here, but I wrote almost every day, something like over 500 words every single day for the month of October. No, for the month of September, and then most of October. And I've written zero so far for November. I've not written anything useful. Before I forget, Mushroom is keeping us company today. You can't see her because of the camera angle, but she's here, lying right across the keyboard. So there's that. Anyway, it's been a difficult few weeks. And also in the last 2 weeks, when I should have been doing NaNoWriMo, instead we were apartment hunting. So my husband Brendan and I decided that we needed some more space. Right now, I know that most people watching are people who know me personally and have probably visited our apartment and know all of our lovely cats by name or at least by sight. But what was supposed to be a 3 bedroom in a way that we could use 2 bedrooms for offices and one for actually sleeping in, we were not able to do that here. And our compromise was that initially Brendan and I shared an office, this office, in fact. And somewhere along the way, Brendan was like, I want to try to have my own space, but we didn't have anywhere for that. So he moved out, and the living room became his office. And I think that we were both really happy with that for a while. I certainly was happy to have my own space. But Brendan's space, even though it is his space, it's not as private, I think, as it can or should be. Just because if I want to go to the kitchen, I've got to walk out of my office and into the living room to get to the kitchen. And so I think he is maybe lacking in some of the privacy and stuff that I get to benefit from since he moved to his office. So, among other things, we've decided that we needed to find a place with, at the very least, a different layout and a different, you know, space for us to work from. And we found one. So we found one. We looked at 8 places. Uh, 8 is a lot. It was very exhausting, and we were gone from our apartment so long relative to how much time we spent home that one of our cats, our eldest, Dark Chocolate, aka DC, he like came up to my feet and just like vomited at my feet in displeasure. And we know that this was a sign of cat displeasure because one, we asked the vet and we googled it, and two, as soon as we stopped going out, he stopped being sick. Uh, Cats are interesting creatures. I'm totally getting off track though. I'm rambling, which is maybe because I didn't do this last weekend. One of the reasons I didn't do this last weekend is because that was the weekend we spent doing all of this apartment hunting, and I also had some very bad allergy issues that weekend, and I was exhausted. Um, but I've got my notes that I intend to attempt at least to stick to. So, why has my routine broken down over the last few weeks? Why has my writing been so dry, or rather like non existent? Well, a lot of the reason is work. Um, Work has been, this is a normally really busy time. Hi everybody. I think wow, a whole bunch of people just like hopped in. I'm seeing Talia and I'm seeing Nikki. So the freak is in and Nikki. Hi everybody. So you'll miss the part of me just kind of rambling pointlessly. So I'm just getting into the meat of things now. But essentially, a big part of the reason that my routine has broken down over the last few weeks is that I've been really focused on work. And at this time of year, work really does take over my life. So, as many of you would already know, my prime writing time seems to have been between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. But for the last few weeks, I have been working as late as 11 p.m. So that by the time I finish work, I'm just too tired to really do anything else. In fact, um, today, Sunday, I got this wrong. Yesterday, Saturday, was Diwali, or rather, it was the day that we celebrated Diwali here in Trinidad and Tobago. And normally, I would have fasted for at least 3 days, usually 7 or 14 days before Diwali. It is a Hindu holiday or Hindu event, celebration, situation. I don't know. And I grew up Hindu. So normally I would have fasted for 2 weeks and I would spend the day visiting family. And even though we have all of these COVID restrictions in place, my intention had been to visit my aunts and my cousins, which is kind of what I've been doing since my grandmother no longer lives in Trinidad. And I didn't do that because I was so caught up with work that I forgot it was Diwali. I scheduled a bunch of students and I had to work all day. And somewhere in the middle, I took like an allergy coma nap. Um, and then I went back to work in the afternoon, and my last class was in the middle of the night last night. I did manage to still take today off, which is great, but that's kind of what my life has been like for the last month, I'd say. And that also correlates to when my writing dropped off. So, right around where my writing dropped off, and I stopped being able to commit to writing that 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 words a day, is when work also started getting crazy. So, I know that this is in large part uh, a breakdown of my routine. So I haven't been sticking to realistic work hours that would still allow me to do my writing at the times of day that I enjoy doing my writing the most, which, like I said, is the middle of the night for some odd reason. And because of that, and because we've got so much research telling us that the best way to manage your mental health and to set and achieve goals is to create routines that help you to do so, I've decided that I'm going to take this opportunity of moving to a new place as an opportunity to set new routines that should and hopefully would help me to achieve my writing goals. To compensate for all of the issues that I've been having, I did reach out to my editor and I asked to push back my due date from December 1st to January, and it's been pushed back to January 4th. And I think that it's still going to be a huge hurdle for me to finish the rest of my manuscript by the end of December because obviously there's the moving and the unpacking and the settling in and all of that. But I'm looking forward to the challenge, and I think that if I need to push it back even further, it's not going to be the end of the world. So here I am. And for the next few minutes, I want to talk a little bit about routines and their importance, and maybe some of the decisions that I intend to or hope to make that will help me to become a more efficient writer and stay dedicated to writing every single day, even when work becomes a little overwhelming. The first thing is that our apartment, like I mentioned before, is a little too small to hold us because Brendan's office is the living room. We don't have space to do things like wake up in the morning and exercise or wake up in the morning and do yoga. I don't spend much time making time for movement in my day, which is particularly important. And so I'm hoping that with the move, because it's a bigger space, it has its separate dedicated living room as well as a dining room. It's big. Um, we'll be able to do things like wake up in the morning and maybe I can go downstairs and do some sun salutations, right? I'm not very good at doing yoga solo. I really prefer to do it with a group of people, but I'm gonna try because it's the only thing that's been really good for my physical health, like my back and my scoliosis and all of those things. And way back, not a couple, like 5 or 6 years ago, when I was doing yoga regularly, doing that every day, I spent a year with no migraines. So that's definitely something I want to add into my routine. And it's also something that's supposed to be very good for you to create time for movement and making time for movement in your day. I also don't spend as much time cooking. Neither I or Brendan do that often anymore. And that is something that we have both discussed on more than one occasion that we would like to do more of. Is the cooking. We used to cook together fairly often. And again, the space is different, the layout is different, just kind of the flow is different. And work is also different for us because our work schedule is really significantly different now to what it was back then. And we want to make some time to start actually cooking together and eating together at the table. Because I ain't gonna lie to tell you, when we eat, it is not only usually takeout, which is not the best thing to eat, but it's usually right here at this desk. We'll do like lunch and an episode of something. So we'll sit right here at my desk, the two of us, and we'll watch something on my screen, and that will be our lunch together. And we still make the effort to do that and have our lunch or dinner or breakfast together, but I think it'll be a lot healthier for us to do that at our actual dining table, which we don't do right now. Uh, what else is happening? Let's see. I'm definitely trying to make more time to spend outside. And oh, the Freakazoon is volunteering to work out with me on Zoom. I am totally for that because I need company. I think that Nikki Nikki said it the first or second time around when I started this stream that I'm such a social creature because having my friends support me in this writing endeavor has basically in those first few weeks it turned me into an absolute writing machine until work just kind of slammed into me. And I think that she's right. If I had friends who would be able to do this with me and support me in doing that, that would be incredible. That would be great. And I know that you guys are around and you're willing, so I'm fine with doing the digital thing. I think my biggest concern with doing like working out or doing yoga digitally is that one of the big benefits to when I was doing it in a studio or with people is that the instructor could guide my posture so that I didn't accidentally hurt myself in those various poses with my all of my like hip and scoliosis issues. And that's the only thing that I'm still kind of concerned about. But very open to doing that. So, in addition to all of the breakdowns in my other routines, I stopped sleeping um, in a biphasic schedule. And I forgot or have been forgetting to take the supplements that were helping me stay clear headed and helping me deal with brain fog. So, the ginseng complex, the B12, the walnuts. Yes, Nikki, of course you're right. Um, I it's just I've just been forgetting. I've just like my schedule has just been such a mess. I haven't been thinking about those things, like I'll wake up at 7:30, which is early for me, but then I'll have class from 8 to 12, and sometimes I'll have breakfast in that hour, which is lunchtime, and then I'll go straight back into work. And sometimes I'll have a break in the afternoon where I'll eat lunch around 5, and then I'll go back to work and I'll finish work at 11. So definitely need to get a better handle on that and spend time cooking, spend time eating at the table, and really getting back to my biphasic sleep schedule. So a big goal that I had for this weekend was to jump back into writing. And it's been really difficult because I've been having a lot of moving anxiety. So we made our decision and we made our security deposit last week. And now we're in that packing phase. And we don't have to move out right away. You know, we have 30 days notice. So we have until the middle of next month to move out. But that doesn't change how anxious I am or how much there is to get done. So all of our stuff in storage is in storage and it's already in boxes. Great. But all of our clothes need to be packed. You know, all of the little knickknacks, the kitchen, the bathroom, and we have to be strategic about that because we don't want to pack things and then realize, oh no, I packed my deodorant and I'll need it for the next 3 weeks. You know, or like weird things like that. And I'm just, oh God, I'm so anxious about it. I've already started packing. Like, I've already pulled out all of our suitcases and I started putting clothes in. I took out 3 weeks of clothes and I put it in like a carry on bag. Blah. It's freaking me out. And so it probably does not then come as a shock to you that I did not get back into my writing routine this weekend. But what I did do, and I am proud of, and I recognize that it is probably, I should recognize that getting back into my old routine is going to take time and I have to do it in phases, is that I did start taking afternoon naps again. Um, if you don't know what monophasic versus like biphasic sleep schedules are, basically a monophasic sleep schedule means that you sleep once for like however long. So you wake up, you're awake all day, and then you go to bed at night, you sleep, you wake up in the morning. You slept once. A biphasic sleep schedule, which is what I'm used to, is I'll wake up in the morning, I'll work, I'll take a nap in the afternoon. So that's my first nap, my first sleep. And then I'll wake up again and I'll do stuff and then I'll go back to bed at night. So two, so biphasic. And a biphasic sleep schedule is what I was using when I was writing and sticking to that 11 to 2 a.m., even 3 a.m. writing schedule. And I I can't decide if I really like it or not. On the one hand, it allowed me to be awake later. On the other hand, waking up at 7:30 after going to bed at 3 in the morning, I still felt like trash. So maybe not the best. I think I need to train myself to learn how to write earlier, but that also means being much more stringent about stopping my work hours earlier in the day. And I guess I feel wary about that because with all of these deadlines coming up, so many of my students with exams and everything else, they're in panic mode and they're trying to meet with me every day or every other day. Sometimes the only time I can meet with them is the middle of the night for me because that's their morning. Because we have a 12-hour, sometimes a 16-hour time difference between us. And it's hard to tell my students no because I care about them. I care about them doing well. I care about them getting, you know, the grades they want to get. I care about them being non-anxious and not panicking. You know, I don't want my students to feel like that. And it's hard for me to say no, I'm not going to meet with you at 11 p.m. to make sure that we read your essay one last time together before you submit your college application because I understand the absolute terror that is involved with this. And so for me, I think that also means I need to start having really, really clear boundaries around that. Anyway, that was a bit of a tangent. What I was trying to say is that this weekend, even though I didn't start writing again the way I wanted to, I did start taking naps. And I think that has helped a lot because it has helped me stay clear headed, even though I haven't been taking my supplements or eating a lot of walnuts. And I hope that over the next few days, even with my moving anxiety, if I spend a little bit of time doing packing and moving related things, I can still hopefully find the time to carve 2 hours to 3 hours out for writing. Bah. Yeah. Okay. Ask me questions because I'm not sure what else I got to say. I mean, the biphasic sleep cycle definitely makes me feel healthier. I just still kind of don't feel great in the morning when I don't get that much sleep. Part of the problem is from like if I stop writing at 2 a.m., I still need to take that kind of hour to unwind, so I don't really sleep until 3, and then waking up at 7, 7:30 is kind of trash. So I still need to figure that out. I'm functional. I'm just not happy about it. But yeah, any suggestions, any questions, anything like that? In terms of my actual writing, again, you guys can probably see the stuff here. Maybe you can't read it, but it was there 2 weeks ago, and it hasn't changed. But stuff has happened in the brains, and as soon as I can make the things in the brains into words, I'm going to add it to that and then get it on the page and start writing those things. I think a lot of the writing blocks that I had where I wasn't sure what was happening next in my actual novel in this like month-long break with all of these things that have been happening, it's definitely been moving around. It's been moving around. Things have been happening, like perspectives have been changing, and I feel like I'm in a better place to start writing that down now. And I'm really excited to do that. I just need to do the writing. I just need to wiggle my pencil and write the words. And that's it. That's my update. I know it hasn't. I know it wasn't a whole lot, but especially because I missed last week, I didn't want to miss another week. I feel like if I missed more than that one, I would just go downhill from there. And I want to continue being held accountable for this. Like, I know that life is getting in the way a bit and work is getting in the way a bit, but it's also on me to hold on to my schedule and take charge of it so that, you know, I am in control of my life and I am in control of my writing. And so I felt like it was really important today, even though I didn't talk too much about writing, but about my schedule and how I intend to implement a routine that helps me to write. I thought that that was important because now you all can hold me accountable for setting this routine, which will help me to write. And I know that Nikki and Talia and my mom, who is probably there somewhere watching, will do that because that's what friends and family are for. Well, that's what friends are for. And sometimes that's what family are for because I know my mom will. But yeah, I felt like that was really important. So my hope is that when I move, once things are starting to ooh. So Nikki goes, have you done any research into the biphasic sleep cycles in pre-industrial slash pre-electric cultures? I have not. I'll be totally transparent about that. I have not done any research. Um, Not recently anyway. Like I did research many years back when I was still in college because I was trying to figure out how to hack my brain as one does in college. And but not recently. I haven't revisited any of that information recently. And my but I know that I do get sleepy in the afternoon and I need to take that nap, and even if it's just like an hour or 20 minutes, I take it and I feel a lot better and I can push through with the rest of my day. If I try not to take that nap, I end up it'll take me 2 hours to do something I could do in 30 minutes if I don't take that nap. And I've just been choosing I've been choosing those things and the things I want to implement into my routine based on my like lived experience of them. Though I should definitely do some research. You definitely like you're not wrong about that. I definitely should do some research. I just haven't gotten to that stage yet. Like a lot of these decisions that I've just made, I've made kind of over the weekend, over the last like 4 or 5 days, um, because I've recognized my issues with work and with being tired and not having the spoons and stuff like that. The Freakazoon says, I've started learning a language to help jar that side of my brain alive. That's not a bad idea. I've been thinking of that as well, but I'm so incredibly untalented at languages. I'm concerned that if I try to do that, I'll either get obsessed with it and focus on doing that, or I will not do well and I'll become demotivated. So, alternatively, I am part of a program for retraining right now where I could take certain courses on Coursera without any charge. And I've already done several of them and I've completed more than one specialization and it's been great. But there are others that I'd like to do before it's no longer available to me to do these free of charge. And I haven't done them. I haven't started them yet because, again, I'm afraid that I'm going to sit down and all of my free time I will dedicate to completing these courses instead of writing. And I feel like I need to be realistic about how much energy I have and how much brain energy specifically I have to do different things, especially when my work hours have doubled in the last month because I'm really, really working overtime. So Nikki also asks if I've considered getting up earlier and writing at the start of my day. I definitely have. I've definitely tried it. It doesn't work very well. And part of the problem is that it takes me a long time to wake up. For class, it actually doesn't seem to bother me. Like, I think I wake up in about half an hour. But when it's time for me to write, I think because there's nobody in my face engaging me, it takes me longer to wake up. So I spend like an hour just kind of zoned out before I get any writing done. And then by the time I start writing and I really get into a zone and into a flow, I gotta stop because I've got to work. And I think that I can probably try that, like just wake up even earlier, but I'm not sure that it's going to work out too well. Mostly because I'll probably be sleepy and maybe a wreck by the time it's time for work. uh, I'm I'm not against trying it again, but what I was thinking is that instead of waking up early to try to write, I'll wake up early and use the morning period to do my yoga practice or any other kind of like movement practice in the morning. And that will help to wake me up so that by the time I'm finished with that and I'm showered and I'm ready for work, I, oh God, you guys, there are so many comments I need to catch up with. But by the time I'm ready for work, I'm awake and capable, and then I just carry on with the rest of my day. What I'd really like to do is, if possible, if I gave up biphasic and I did a monophasic sleep cycle, I would like to be able to write in the afternoon. And I've also tried that, and it's also failed spectacularly. The only thing that's worked for my writing that hasn't failed is when I write in the middle of the night. Man, I can put down like 2,000 words in a few hours. In like 2 hours, which is crazy. It's the most that I've ever written in one sitting. But by doing sprints, I've been able to achieve that. And I guess I can try it again to do the writing earlier instead. But I have no idea how early I'll have to wake up for that. I'll have to do some math around it. So because I start work at 8, I'd probably have to wake up at like 5. I don't know if I can wake up at 5 in the morning. I may not know about that. But we can see, we can try. That's all I can do. I can try. Um, awake, not alive. Oh, keep that side of your brain. Gotcha. Anjali says we are not morning people. Anjali's my mom. She's 100% right. I'm her daughter. We are not morning people. I definitely wake up earlier than my mom does these days, right? It's a real thing. It works. I'm assuming that Nikki is talking here when she says it's a real thing that works, is considering getting up earlier and writing at the beginning of my day instead of at the end. Um, I know that it's a real thing and I know that it works for many people. I just don't know that it will work for me because it hasn't worked in the past. Uh, Anjali says we're more like elves, like Kim Harrison elves. Yes. Yes, we are a bit more like that. The afternoon nap is really essential to us. Which is why I think once I stopped having that afternoon nap, my like whole life just broke down. um, my mom also says I have never tried to learn other languages. That is false. I have tried to learn French, I have tried to learn Japanese, and I have tried to learn um, what is this thing called? Dothraki. I've also tried to learn Klingon. I'm not good at it. Nikki is volunteering for Annalise to talk to me in Mandarin if I want. Maybe. Maybe that's what I'll try next. I'm okay with it. Um, but learning a language is not a bad idea, I think. I just don't know if. Brendan says, interesting elf reference there. And for those who don't know, Brendan and I and our friend Chris, who lives in the US, we have a podcast that we just started called Unspinning, which is basically where the three of us talk about folklore and modern versus older representations of various folklore characters or stories. And this month, we did elves. Um, and yes, we that was interesting. Um, Nikki says I should figure out first how to get more sleep in my first cycle. Um, I probably yeah, I think you're probably right. I I don't usually get a set amount of sleep in my first cycles and my first sleep phase. It's usually just however much sleep I get. But also part of the reason that I don't have a specific amount of sleep time scheduled is again for work because I need to be flexible. So I've always felt kind of bad saying that I can't have any classes or any sessions between 2 o'clock and 5 o'clock because sometimes that 4 o'clock or that 3:30 time is the perfect time for my kids. So I think that comes back to me just setting some boundaries and being like, this is it, guys. Can't do anything before or after this time. For example, normally I take Wednesdays off completely, but because it's such a difficult time and I have so many more hours that I need to work to make sure my kids finish in time and that they feel comfortable and they're not panicked, I actually have started working on Wednesday mornings. So right now I work until 12 o'clock on Wednesdays and I only take a half day on Wednesdays instead of the whole day. And I guess like I said, this all just keeps coming back to boundaries and setting boundaries to make sure that my routines pan out for me. It's very difficult and it's very hard for me to say no. um Meegs says, so the freak is in. Her message is, Meeg says that waking up earlier doesn't work for people like y'all. I assume that's me, um the freak is in, and Angeli. Because mundane tasks are for mornings and creative tasks are for later. He says that he, as in Miguel, I guess, and I have the same method. He is right. I think he's definitely right. I am so much better at conducting or achieving these tasks, these creative tasks at a later time. And definitely, I think I really hit my stride after the sun goes down. So sometime at like 6 or 7, when it's getting dark, the sun is gone or going down, I'm I get more energized, and I usually have to work during that time. But if I set aside time for writing work and I can't actually write because I may not have the open end to write, I can do other things related to my writing. I can work on short prompts. I can put together prompts for my writing group and schedule them to be posted. I can do like other social media things. I can watch YouTube and do professional development during that time. And I am considering using that professional development time to do more stuff on Coursera. But again, I'm likely to just kind of like get super goal oriented and obsessed with it and just like push through and do nothing else, right? So do it to like the exclusion of all else, which is bad. Um, and I think a part of the reason that writing in the middle of the night works so well for me is because it's open ended. Because if I start writing, if I know that all of my classes for the day are complete, right? I usually have to take an hour, sometimes as long as 2 hours, to just kind of unwind and release myself from that work mode or that mode of thinking. And like Talia slash the freak is in has said in the past, because my work, my day job work, and my writing work uses so many of the same muscles, I guess that's like a period of stretching and relaxing those muscles for me before I go into writing for myself. So after that hour, 2 hours is over, I and when I start writing, I don't have to stop for any reason. So I don't have to stop for another class. If I stop for like me to make tea or to grab something to eat, that's one thing. But I don't really have to stop for anything else. I could just write until I don't have any more words. I can sprint until I don't want to sprint anymore. And usually that's what I do. I'll sprint until I start dropping words and I'm not hitting my average word count. It's like well below, and I'll say, okay, I wrote like 100 words in this 20 minutes, or I wrote like 10 words in the last 20 minutes. Let's just call it a night. That's what I'll do. um I'm not sure what some of these are referring to. She has never really tried. I think that might be my mom talking about me not trying to learn languages. False. I really tried with Dothraki, okay? um mentality is still mildly drunk from last night. Yeah, like I always feel not drunk, but like I'm sleepy. I'm sleepy in mornings. It's hard for me to get up. And then Talia slash the freak is in also says, yeah, I need to get back into the flow of doing creative work. I've been focused on the children and a weird sleep schedule for me. Yes, exactly. For you, the kids are kind of your full-time job, so it's not a surprise that, just like me, work is taking over writing. And I totally respect that. Yep. Whew. So I mean, there are a few things. Those are a few things that I think really need to be considered moving forward in setting a routine that helps me to write. So things like making time for movement in my day, not just in my morning, but having specific breaks throughout the day to like get up and stretch and walk around. It's not that I can't do that in the apartment where I'm at, but for me to get up and stretch and walk around and maybe go outside, it actually would disturb Brendan because his office is what would otherwise have been a public space. And I don't like to do that. And I'm sure it doesn't bother him. I'm sure he'll tell me that I can, but it still makes me feel uncomfortable that I have to invade what should be his space in order to, have my walk around time. Um, I'm definitely going to stop taking classes in the middle of the night and go back to not booking classes after 8 p.m. or maybe even earlier. I think that's going to be hard to do earlier because of those 12 and 16-hour time differences with some of my students, but we'll work around it. um, Definitely one of the things that I want to do is schedule time to cook and to eat, as in to like sit at the table and eat instead of eating at my desk and working while I'm eating. Um, and maybe use that time to read or to do something else that will help my brain kind of relax or unwind, or work on paper. If I must work, do it by hand so that I'm a little more analog. It gives my eyes a bit more of a break relative to the screen as well. And yeah, I mean, go back to my writing time, more time outside. Those were the main things that I wanted to implement. And definitely get back to a place where I can quit working, even if that's 8 p.m. and then by 10 o'clock, I'm diving into writing and I'm doing that at least until midnight. I think I definitely need to pull my schedule forward. So instead of 11 to 2, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. I want to bring that more to 10. Because I think if I can get to bed at 2 a.m. instead of 3 a.m., that extra hour of sleep at night is going to make a huge difference for how I feel in the morning. And yes, that's my plan. And now your job, your homework is to make sure I make it and stick to it. I make a good schedule and I stick to it. Whew. Because once I make a schedule and I can stick to it, I can go back to pumping out 2,000 plus words a day. And I can finish this novel in record time, send it to this editor, get some feedback, make edits, and go again. And I'm really excited. Like I'm very excited at this prospect because I also feel as though I feel like I'm excited to finish this book. I'm excited to finish this freaking book. And I'm excited to move on to the next book. Like I'm barely a third of the way through this book and I'm excited to finish it so that I can move on to the next novel that I'd like to write. And I think that that's a good thing. I think that's a good sign and I am excited to get to that point. And I'm excited about this move as much as I'm anxious about this move as well. I'm excited about this move and the opportunity it's going to create for me to implement routines that allow me to achieve my personal writing goals as well as to continue the work that I already do and love. Yeah, that's it. And somehow I managed to talk about that for 41 minutes. Wow. I mean, my mom does have this joke. She says that I went after I said my first word and then I never shut up. Like I never stopped talking. And I I think I discovered somewhere in my teens that she was right, but moments like this definitely reinforces that she was right. So I guess unless there are any more questions, comments, queries, conundrums, concerns, or complaints, I'm going to drink some water. And if we don't have any more, I'm going to wrap up for the day. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you, folks, for continuing to support me in all of this crazy stuff that I'm doing and trying and that is happening. Um, my mom says absolute truth. I don't know what she's referring to, but yes. Rustic Spike says the book will be lit when I finish it, and you are absolutely right. I've just got to finish it first. Yes, I know you got here when I finished, but that's like not unusual at all. It's fine. Okay, think I think that's it. So I'm going to wrap up. Thank you again for being here. Thank you for continuing to support me. And thank you for making sure that every time I sit here on a Saturday afternoon, I am not just talking to myself. Thank you for holding me accountable. Happy Diwali, Shuk Diwali. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see you next week at this time.